Yo, what's good? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going over uh the lymphatic system pathogens and leukocytes. These are my professor slides. So my professor, if you're watching this, um, I hope you're not mad, Dr. Bearcat. I'm not. This channel is not monetized whatsoever. This is purely so I can practice active studying, and my videos are actually trash. Um, and no money's being made off of this. So I hope this is okay if I just use your slides just to practice teaching, you know. Okay, anyways, like let's get into it. I don't know why I'm darling on. Okay, so today we're gonna look about the lymphatic system, pathogens, and leukocytes. We're gonna be identifying examples of certain types of pathogens, compare lymphocytes and granulocytes, and the roles in adaptive and innate immune responses. First, we're gonna go over lymph nodes and vessels, and then go over to pathogens, other triggers of immune response. And then second half of this lecture, we're going to be going over granulocytes and lymphocytes. Okay, so let's get right into it. So lymphatic systems, right? So the immune system, their whole purpose is to be the internal defense system. So anytime you get a foreign invader, such as like a pathogen, going into your system, your immune system is the thing that's going to be launching those defenses. It's going to be protecting against those pathogens. Right. And so the system, like other systems, like the cardiac system, like the respiratory system, this is the lymphatic system. And so this lymphatic system will be working in conjunction with the immune system. And so the lymphatic system supports the immune system, right? As you see here. Um, oops, does this work? Why is my thing like not even, why is it not updating right now? What's happening? What's happening? Why is my thing not updating? No, please start recording, please. And dot 25.136. 0.102, 86. Please. No, why'd you, brother, get? Sorry, my tablet disconnected. Can't believe that happened. Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. Bro, can you please connect? Sorry now. 172. Here we go, finally. Okay, we're back. We're so back. So this lymphatic system, right, as I was saying, it consists of different components within it, right? First is a lymphatic fluid. This fluid is going to be a kind of a drainage system, and it's going to be running in conjunction with your blood vessels. For example, like uh, let's say these are your lymph vessels, right? And this is like your lymph um, fluid. Your blood vessels probably should not do blue, but um, because it represents veins. But anyways, let's say these are your blood vessels, right? Um, they're going to be your blood is going to be continually expelling waste into your lymph vessels. So all these like waste. So this could be uh like a bulk transport. And what your immune system is kind of a tangent, but what your immune system mainly does is promote inflammation. So anytime you get a cut, you get inflammation. That's your lymphatics. That's your immune system triggering in, right? Let's say you get swollen lymph nodes right here. That's your the immune system triggering and going in as well. And so within the lymph fluid is going to be contained within these lymph vessels. So vessels, just think of like a tube, and then the fluid is going to be what's in it. It's kind of self-explanatory with like lymph. The name is kind of in it. Um, this fluid is going to be produced within these lymph nodes, right? And so these lymph nodes, they're all around the body, right? There's no specific like place where you will have a like one place of lymph nodes. They're all spread throughout the body, as well as your lymph vessels. As you see in the diagram on the left, these green um, vessels, they kind of show like where um, where these lymph vessels are going to be. There's a particular accumulation within your armpits as well as your upper neck as well. And when you see when like your lymph nodes get swollen, that's because there's an increased production of lymphatic fluid. And so your body is thinking like, oh, wait, I have a pathogen. Oh no, I need to start boosting up my defense mechanisms. So therefore, I'm going to be producing more lymphatic fluid. The drainage system is going to be running even higher, and therefore there's going to be much more fluid accumulation in your lymph nodes. And that's why that's a pretty much a telltale sign. Even if you're not expressing symptoms of being sick, if you have inflamed lymph nodes, that's what's going to be a telltale sign of your immune system is working to fight against an infection. So there's several organs within the lymphatic system that produce um, several cells of the immune system are also produced in organs of the lymphatic system. So these organs are going to be producing cells of the immune system. So the thymus is going to be the base of the neck, not to be confused with the thyroid. It's going to be kind of like over here. The spleen that which is like people you've heard of it, people can remove their spleen as well. Tonsils as well can become inflamed as well. It's kind of like in your head area in the back. That's why you can hear people say like, oh, I'm removing my tonsils. And the reason why you can remove these uh organs in your body and still be fine and still be fine is because there's a lot of different organs that produce these lymph these cells. So simply just taking out one organ won't uh, like compromise your ability to produce lymphatic fluid. And also bone marrow, where these are where erythrocytes are being produced. Erythrocytes are red blood cells. So as you can see on the diagram on the left, um, there's a lot of high concentration of lymph nodes or lymph um, in your neck as well. This is your thymus over here. Um, and This is diffusion out of the capillary into the lymph. So, for example, when there's uh over here, you see these blood vessels are kind of really intertwined with these lymph vessels as well. These blood vessels are intertwined with these lymph vessels, and so as a drainage system, there's going to be diffusion from high concentration to low concentration. So when your blood vessels have a lot of waste in them, it can be ions, it can be proteins. It will diffuse out into the lymph vessels, which has low concentration. And there's a thing with countercurrent exchange where, um, as I can show here, where there's going to be more concentration of products here. It's going to be diffusing into the lymph vessels. And as the blood vessels travel this way, the lymph vessels are going to be traveling this way. And so there's going to be a high concentration of items here. And so as basically like the way I think about it is like that. Oh, shoot, I did it the wrong way. Oops. The way I think about counter current exchange is there's a high concentration of stuff here of stuff in the blood vessels, and there's a low concentration of stuff in the lymph vessels. So this high concentration is going to be going into the low concentration area, and this only works because of the direction of blood flow. So as the blood vessels travel this way, the lymph vessels are going to be traveling the opposite way as well, and then that's why it's like kind of like a steeper gradient. Okay, so now we're gonna moving on to the uh purpose of immune system is gonna be an internal defense system, protecting against pathogens, trigger inflammation. And then the swollenness of the lymph nodes will release lymphatic fluid. These white blood cells are going to contain granulocytes or lymphocytes, and these are just going to be circulating around the body. So not only is lymphatic system also a drainage system, but it's also a way to transport these lymphatic fluids. Granulocytes and lymphocytes, basically just immune cells, white blood cells, right? So for lymph nodes and vessels, so lymph is a clear filtrate of blood plasma. It contains proteins, waste products, and lymphocytes, right? So these lymph is not going to contain any red blood cells, and it should be clear because red blood cells are too big to diffuse into the lymph vessels. These lymph vessels are super small, and so it's going to only contain really small things. So proteins, products, um, proteins like albumin and lymphocytes. So more on that later. It's produced in lymph nodes throughout the body as a result of concurrent exchange. I explained that earlier, and a drainage between the blood vessels and the lymph vessels with inside these nodes. Other cells, including cancer cells, can also enter and exit the blood into lymph vessels, which can lead to metastasis. So, for example, cancer cells, right, it will infect one part of the body, one organ. Um, and when cancer cells duplicate rapidly, unfortunately, it will go into the lymph vessels. And once it's in the lymph vessels, it's like a highway. Those cancer cells can just go everywhere because it can spread. And once it's in those vessels, those vessels are connected to other organs, and then everything can just be spread out way more quicker. That's what metastasis is. So lymph nodes, since they're the kind of within those lymphatic system, those lymph nodes can be removed and can be tested for cancer cells. And the results can be special for post-operations and like treatment. And so on the right here, you have this uh, diagram of a lymph node. And so as you can see, blood vessels right here is going to be moving into the lymph nodes, and lymphatic fluid is going to be moving out of the blood of the lymph nodes. This is not to be confused with the kidney because it looks kind of similar because it looks like a bean shape. But just know that blood is going to go in, and uh, lymph fluid is going to be going out. So now I'm going to be switching over to pathogens. So these are foreign invaders. They're exogenous invaders as well. So think of like any viruses, or these are the types of pathogens right here, right? Cellular, acellular. Let's say you get an infection. These are pathogens. These are something you catch when someone says, "I catch a cold," or you catch a flu. These are what do you call pathogens? Anything you catch from, like, let's say you go to school and then you get sick, most likely a pathogen. So on the left, you see we have these split up into living and non-living. Um, Basically, living is the differentiation between living and non-living. There's a couple different uh, uh, points or like necessities in order to be considered living. One is like it can be lived, but essentially, what considers something as non-living is that it cannot live without a host cell. So you can see viruses and prions, they cannot duplicate on their own. They need to go into a host cell to be able to like reproduce, to be able to synthesize energy, to be able to just function. Essentially like a parasite. So uh, these are different classes of pathogens that exist on Earth. So on the left, right, we have parasites. So think of parasites as just your worm. They're even your largest ones. You can even see them with your naked eye. So think of tapeworms. These worms are literally going to be, for example, for a tapeworm, they're going to be living within your digestive system, and they're going to be leveraging your nutrients with whatever's in your digestive system to just grow, to lay eggs. And the main premise of to excrete them to get rid of these parasites, these tapeworms, is primarily through excretion. So think parasites as just uh, like the need to live within your digestive system, and uh, they kind of leverage your nutrients within your stomach. Protozoas, they are like protists. They love to live in warm environments, so any places with warm water. Um, an example of a protozoa is malaria. And malaria is when a it gets into it infects a mosquito, and that mosquito bites a human. And so that protozoa, malaria, is going to be transferred to the human. Um, Protozoas are a little bit are more microscopic. And then once they're bit inside the human, they go through the protozoa goes through the whole life cycle, just duplicating. And then the next one we have fungi. There's a lot of different examples, such as like jock's itch or athlete's foot. They can be highly resistant to antifungal treatment, so very it's very intensive, and the procedure of distributing out like antifungal treatment is kind of has to be has to be regulated. It has to be a very fine balance because too much antifungal treatment can just make the fungi resistant to it. And then it's just a continual battle between like if the fungus is more powerful or if the antifungal treatment is going to be more powerful. Next, we have prokaryotes right here. These are going to be bacteria. And there's good bacteria, there's bad bacteria, of course. Bacteria just can be numerous millions and millions of bacteria. Think of bacteria as just like food poisoning. Like you eat something, you probably should not have eaten it. You know, like your friends, you go out, you try something new, you go to the night market, and something you go abroad, right? That bacteria that you eat is not really like like vibing with your own microbiome, and so that leads to food poisoning. And so one example is leprosy. So going on to acellular to viruses, um, AIDS, autoimmune. Uh, what are AIDS, bro? Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So this is caused by HIV, which is what does it stand for? Oh my goodness. Why did I? It's not recording. Okay, it's not recording. Oops. Oops. Those are my notes. Lol. Where's my? Okay, here we go. Oh shoot. No, my thing turned off. Bro, my thing disconnected too. No. Let's go. Carousel back. Human immunodeficiency virus. Bro, so quick for this test. Here, here. Now we're back. So vaccines are normally effective in inoculation, in getting rid of viruses. And what our vaccines are is just like a little bit of a dead virus that's gonna be injected within you. These vaccines that are being injected within you, a cause for, they're not powerful enough to um, it's a super, super weak form of it. So when a virus gets in, your body is not going to be able to recognize it, and then it's going to be able to produce antibodies. Your body's going to be able to study that virus, and so when you get the actual full-blown virus, like for example COVID, it's going to be able to produce those antibodies quickly instead of being able to study it because it already has memory from it before. Um, and that's why you have like a COVID-19 vaccine. Um, And so, oh yeah, the general shape of a protein, right? This is kind of stereotypical right here. It's normally just gonna have a protein and some nucleic acid, nucleic DNA. So prions are gonna be the most scariest ones. These are kind of metal. These are pathogenic proteins, and essentially what they do is they're misfolded. And so when they come into a regular normal protein, it's gonna go in, and it's gonna make that one misfolded, and it's going to be just create a cascade of protein misfolding. And there's absolutely no restoring the original protein structure. So currently, there's no treatments around of to for prions. The labs that are studying them are getting the highest safety, and there's only very few labs that are studying prions because they're just super, super like dangerous. One example can be CJD or I think like mad cow disease as well. So mad cow disease is when an infected cow is like slaughtered, and that beef or that steak, that meat is ingested to a human, and those symptoms are just going to be the same as like what that cow is going to be going through as well. Okay, so now we're going to triggers of immune responses. So this is like the stages when you get a cut, when you get a pathogen, the stages are going to be listed as below. One is going to be your stage one. This is going to be uh your your skin, your mucus, anything that's like exterior to your body, that's going to be your first level of defense system. Um, and then actually, let me go to the right side. Okay, so let's go to let's go to the right side. The physical, the exogenous triggers of immune responses. So I'm gonna go through exogenous and endogenous. So exogenous, think of like exits, like outside. How am I doing on time right now? Okay, 5 minutes. So think of exogenous as like physical injury, so both internal or external. So these aller physical injuries and allergens, these all produce inflammation. So let's say you get a cut, that bad bruising to your skin. That's inflammation. That's an exogenous trigger, right? And this inflammation, it's necessary. When you see inflammation in anywhere in your foot, or let's say you want to run and you get inflammation in your foot, or let's say you get a cut and you see this blue scarring tissue, that's inflammation. And it's good if you see that, because it's to prevent the spread of pathogens. Think of allergens as like your just general allergies. So like you're sneezing, your sinuses are just inflamed, like you're going like it's just you have a stuffy nose, you have a sore throat. That's allergens. This is typically a release of histamine. This complex is a neurotransmitter, and uh, what you take to reduce your allergens is like antihistamines. These are going to be reducing your histamine production. Your histamine is what's responsible for your allergies, right? And so that's why you see Claritin or any over-the-counter drugs with antihistamines. These are going to reduce your allergies, right? It's going to block the production of histamine. It's going to reduce um, uh, your presence of allergies. And that's what's like, you see those commercials and you're like, wow, I'm so clear. I can see the world in a new light. But one side effect of antihistamines is it makes you really drowsy. So you're going to be normal to see yourself like kind of tired as well. Endogenous triggers of immune responses, these are a little bit more scarier. These are autoimmune diseases. So this is your body recognizing your own cells and thinking that it's going to be a foreign entity. So it's just your body attacking your own body. So examples can be lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, or MS, multiple sclerosis. Okay, so now going to the physical figure on the left, right? So let's see a physical injury right here. Boom. You get cut, and your first layer of defense is going to be your skin. That's going to be your barrier, your first barrier for any type of um, exogenous trigger. These pathogens over here, right? If you have a cut, it's going to be exposed. And these pathogens are going to be flowing into where that cut is. That's why it's very important to you wear a band-aid, for example, or you just try to cover it up so that pathogens are not going to come in. Um, these PAMPs, what are PAMPs? Pathogen-associated molecular patterns. Um, Pathogen-associated molecular patterns, damage-associated molecular patterns. They're molecular signals that signal the trigger of an innate immune system to initiate inflammation. So these pathogens are going to come in. It's going to go into uh, these molecular signals. These molecular signals are going to just be saying to the body to produce inflammation, to just start triggering inflammation. So it's either going to go to host cell. Anytime there's a pathogen that's going to infect the cell, it's going to host cell necrosis is just the cell is just going to die. Macrophages are pretty cool. Think of like these as like your big back, and I'm going to be engulfing uh, these pathogens. So think of it as normally macrophages are going to be granulocytes, and they're going to take out these pathogens by engulfing them. So it's going to see something, Pac-Man is going to bring it in, and it's going to take it out by engulfing it. Um, and when these macrophages engulf them, it's going to release these cytokines. So these cytokines, like let's say I'm going to be, it's like a messenger. It's like I'm going to call up my homie, and I'm going to tell them to like I'm going to call my homie. And so this signal is these cytokines. These are just these alarm bells are going to be ringing. These are going to be uh I'm sending out comms. I'm setting out. mail, I'm sending out text messages, I'm sending out emails. These are going to be your granulocytes and lymphocytes. And so the lymphocytes are going to be producing more inflammation, which is just more histamine, more allergies as well. Um, okay, moving on. Uh, I'm talking about the cells in the immune system. So these graph is going to be split up into two different ways. So your after your first level of response, that's going to be your skin, your mucus, your hairs, your nostril hairs, skin cells. The second level of defense is going to be your innate immune response. Your innate immune response is going to be circulating throughout your body. It's going to be consistently present in pretty much similar concentrations, consistent concentrations. These are just there automatically. You have these, you're preset to have these. So on the right side is going to be myeloid progenitor cells, recruited early. So this is going to be your second stage, mainly second stage, early during non-specific innate immune response. So innate is just going to be non-specific. Think of these as just like they're highly non-specific. They're going to be highly compatible with anything. So that's why they're kind of like a jack of all trades, kind of like going to be there, not very specific. Um, Neutrophils and eosinophils. So going down here, looking at neutrophils and eosinophils, I'm not really knowing what that is to be honest, but it's going to be related to like asthma. These neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils, they're going to be consistent in uh, present consistently in concentrations. Mast cells. So mast cells are going to be the ones that produce your histamines. So those histamines give me allergies. So when you get allergies, it's going to normally be from mast cells. So um, this is going to be the reason why this is non-specific is because you get a pathogen, right? All of a sudden your allergies are flaring up. Your allergies are going to be your second line defense, right? That's going to be your quick innate immune response. It's going to be already preset. And that's why your allergies are just trying to get rid of everything. Just like uh not going to target something specifically, but just going to automatically just get rid of things. That's why when like you have allergies, you're going to be sneezing all the time, you're going to be stuffy, you're going to be trying to produce a lot of this inflammation just to prevent the spread of this pathogen. And then we over here, monocytes, dendritic, and macrophages. So dendritic cells are going to be like your messengers. They're going to help along with your macrophages. Macrophages, as I said before, right? They're going to be your big backs, right? Macro, think big backs. They're going to be engulfing your pathogens by phagocytosis and get rid of them. Uh, your dendritic cells are going to be recognizing and targeting the pathogens as well. You're going to be recruiting the macrophages. So these myeloid progenitor cells right here, they're pretty basal, meaning that if you take a blood sample, you can measure the percentage of your these cells pretty consistently just from a blood sample. And since they're present in a consistent amount, any imbalances that you see in these myeloid progenitor cells, granulocytes, this is what I'm talking about, granulocytes. That means it's kind of indicative of like a cancer or like you're sick or something is wrong with your body, right? If there's imbalances, then that means like, for example, if I see more mast cells being produced or if I see more macrophages being produced than normally, then that's like, wait, that's not supposed to happen. You're probably sick. You're probably infected. So these are your innate responses. These are the things that are going to be there, present, preset. Your kind of your, I don't know what's going to, like your body's like, okay, random stuff go. Like these are your stuff that's going to be like my first line of defense. If this doesn't work, now I'm going to be moving on to the adaptive immune response. These things are kind of crazy. These are specific. These things recur later. So this is going to be your third uh, line of defense. I'm talking about lymphocytes on the left here. Let me get rid of all this stuff for here for you guys. Um, so the main differentiation I want to show you guys in lymphocytes is B cells and T cells. Um, Natural killer cells, I forgot to tell us earlier, but these are also going to be present in your body. They're just going to be naturally just killing things as well. It's also going to be part of your innate immune response, but it's going to be under lymphocytes. So typically it's going to be like this. kind of grouped in with innate versus adaptive. But when I think of lymphocytes, I think of things like your specific. So your T cells right here, right? These are going to be your semi. Oh, yeah, by the way, these lymphoid stem cells, myeloid progenitor cells, these are going to be like semi-differentiated uh, cells. So as you see right here, above here, stem cells, you know stem cells, right? Like there's a lot of news on the internet where talking about stem cells, stem cell therapies. These are just undifferentiated cells. So lymphoid and myeloid progenitor cells, these are not as undifferentiated as stem cells, but they're semi-differentiated. So these cells can just differentiate into these other classes. Think of T cells as like cell-mediated response. When I think of this lineage, I think of cell-mediated response. When I think of this side, I'm thinking of humoral response. So I'm going to go through the cell-mediated response, and this is going to be primarily going to be concerning these um, T cells. So TH cells, these are going to be your CD4 cells. Think of your CD4 cells as like your text messages, your emails, your homies. You're calling up your homies, right? Your phone, your MacBook, your FaceTiming your friends, right? These things are going to be your messenger cells. They're going to be going and recruiting your cytotoxic cells. These guys are your homies. These guys are going to back you up. These things are going to be highly specific. Um, um, and uh, these are going to be called normally your CD8 cells. So I'm calling up my homies. You're like, yo, we have some bad guys here. Can you guys pull up and help me out here? Um, think of these like as army soldiers. Like I'm going to call up my backup. CD4 cells, think of it as like the commander on deck. These guys are just messengers. Um, there's going to be some mediated responses. Sub-mediated is going to be CD4 recruiting CD8. CD8 is going to go, your homie is going to come in, it's going to initiate lysis of the cell, going to go in and just kill it. Humoral response, now over here, is going to be, think of like B cells. B cells producing antibodies, right? So, oops, I stuck with that wrong. Um, why does my thing always like, okay, well, whatever, freak. My thing keeps on disconnecting, and I'm just gonna it's just sucking ship at this point. Okay, I'm just gonna share something else. Here we go. Brother, where is it at? Okay, yeah. Think of humoral response. Think of humoral response as like things within your bloodstream, right? It's gonna be circling through your bloodstream. Think of the humoral as like fluids. Your B cells, progenitor cells, they're gonna be differentiating over into plasma cells or memory cells. Your memory cells, your plasma cells are gonna be producing your antibodies like immediately. Those are gonna be um, sort of your uh okay, so all right, so let me go back for 1 second. Let's say you get a pathogen, right? Your memory cells are going to go directly into action. These memory cells are going to be your studiers, bro. These things are going to be like your logic people, um, basically super smart. They're going to really study what these pathogens is going to be. And then your plasma cells, plas plasma B cells, these things are going to be, once you get the infection a second time, your memory cells are going to be able to know what it is and then produce antibodies immediately. Your plasma cells, on the other hand, are going to be just producing antibodies. Okay. Going on next, innate immunity response. So yeah, innate versus non-specific. Innate is going to be granulocytes. So up here, granulocytes is going to be innate. Non-specific antibodies. Oh yeah, innate. And so these are going to be non-specific. They're gonna be your second line defense. After your skin, then it's gonna be your innate immunity response. These kind of they're pretty broad. They bind to a large class of antigens. Now moving on to adaptive immune response, right? I'm going up here to lymphoid. Your memory B cells are going to be primed to respond to a particular antigen. So basically, you're studiers. These people are going to be studying the tactics, the ways, the uh, that's why it's specific. It's going to study it. It's going to make something that's specifically specific, bro, to that cell. Your plasma B cells, they're going to secrete your immunoglobulins, antibodies, and direct humoral response. So immunoglobulins are antibodies. These things are pretty general, right? Some of it's a little bit more specific, but not as specific as memory B cells. Cytotoxic cells, right? These things are your army soldiers. These things are your homies. They're gonna pull up. They're gonna attack the body. They're gonna attack the cells. Unfortunately, with cancer cells and uh, autoimmune diseases as well. Helper T cells, right? These things are commanders. This is me on my phone. This is me on my email. This is me on Discord. This is me on FaceTime, on telling my CD8 cells to come pull up. Like I see an inflammation, I need to come and I need to recruit my CD8s. So on the right here, we have kind of another diagram, a little more simplified. Stem cell, right? Pretty undifferentiated, not that specific. Lymphoid progenitor cell, right? I'm looking at lymphoid progenitor cells as in up here. Um, your B cells are going to be, memory B cells are going to be studying them and then producing them. Not going to do much on the first attack, but on the second attack, they're going to be really good. Plasma cells, they're going to produce antibodies, but these are a little less specific. Um, CD8s are going to be your homies, are going to be recruited, and CD4s are going to be the ones that are recruiting them. So CD8 cells are going to be consistently churning, destroying affected cells, also cancer cells. These CD4 cells can also recruit plasma B cells. So these cells, they're going to be producing uh, freaking. So these CD4 cells, they're going to be recruiting. I'm going to be recruiting my CD8s, which is going to be my army soldiers, also my plasma cells, my plasma B cells. These ones are just going to be producing antibodies as well. Um, okay, going over here, these are just like a basically another diagram of like how everything gets differentiated as well. Um, as you see, cytokines here are going to be your messenger signals, right? So let's say I have a cytotoxic cell is going to be CD8s. They're going to go to infected cell and completely lyse them. On the other hand, you have cytokines, they're going to go to B cells. These memory B cells, they're going to be studying them and then be producing the specific antibodies. Plasma cells, they're just going to be making antibodies that are pretty inspecific, um, pretty general. Okay, that's going to be going over lymphatic system, pathogens, and leukocytes. Um, let's go. One video done. We're back on this grind, bro. See you guys later.